Hello, I'm Nathan,
And I'm Raven.
and today we thought we would do something a little different, mix it up, where we're doing kind of a throwback to a lot of our college movie conversations where I would go see something that Raven either didn't want to see or didn't want to make it a priority to see, was going to see it later. Um, or just things that she was straight up not interested in at all. And and I would see it and then just tell her about it. So we're going to do that here today.
Yep. This past week, Nathan went to go see the Odyssey, and to be clear, I do want to see this movie. I just don't have a lot of, time to be like going out to see movies, and I have to save the time that I do have for a special movie event that we're going to be doing later this summer. So Nathan went to go see it, and he's going to tell me about it. So for context, this is actually a pretty last minute decision. We decided we were going to do this video like 2 days ago, and we're just recording it now. But some of my friends were asking me about like what we were doing about content, and I was like, "Oh, Nathan's going to tell me about the Odyssey. This is 100% like with it being directed by Christopher Nolan and the cast and everything. This is 100% one of the movies that he would have like come back from the theater and just been jumping up and down to tell me about." Okay. So Nathan, the Odyssey.
Yes, the new film from Christopher Nolan, the acclaimed director of, well, you guys know what he directed. I don't need to say it. When this movie was first announced, when I heard, Christopher Nolan directing the Odyssey, to be clear, I have not read the book, but I've seen a few different adaptations of it, and it's one of those stories that's so integral into pop culture. There's a lot of adaptations, a lot of things that are inspired by it, a lot of references and parodies. It's one of those stories that everyone kind of knows to some degree. And I'm just saying all that because it's a story, like, I know the story even though I haven't read it.
Yeah.
So just just if I say something that's from the book, I don't know if it's from the book or not, but anyway, because I'm sure people are going to say like, that's from the book, that's not from the book, in that tone of voice. But anyway, so when it was first announced,
Just like that, yeah.
Yeah, I had an idea in my head immediately of what this movie was going to be like, just based on what I know of the story and the director, and that's pretty much exactly what it was. It was Christopher Nolan doing the Odyssey.
All right.
If you like his style, you'll probably like the movie. And if you're a Christopher Nolan hater, this one will not change your mind because it does everything you would expect one of his movies to do.
I can't tell if that's a neutral or a positive or a negative statement.
I think in general, I'm generally mostly positive about Christopher Nolan. I like most of his movies, and but he can sometimes do things that are kind of irritate me a little bit. Like he relies a little too much on dialogue, and specifically I think he relies too much on narration. And there's a lot of times where I feel like he could let the images speak for themselves, but he doesn't. And he has a tendency to go a bit overboard on the sound and the music, which actually he kind of pulled back a little bit on that for this one. There were no blahs in this one.
Okay.
Although there were some like really low bass rumbling in a lot of parts. Yeah, there was some of that, but there was no like blah.
Okay.
I was actually impressed. I'm like, wow. He restrained himself in that way, in one aspect of his filmmaking. The story was structured pretty much exactly how I figured it would be.
Okay.
With going at the story non-linearly.
Okay.
because that's just something that he likes to do. And I think more often than not in his movies, it does work. And it works here. But yeah, I also, because I knew they wouldn't want to wait 2 hours to have Tom Holland be in the movie. And if they did the story in chronological order, then that's how it would be. So I'm like, he's gonna chop it up and move things around.
Yeah. Marketing's got to market.
Yeah. Yeah. So how much do you know about the Odyssey?
I know that it is the story of Odysseus trying to get back home, I think, to Penelope. And he, faces a lot of trials along the way. I also have never read the book, but I do know that there are many movies that are supposed to be based on the Odyssey, or at least like follow that story structure. And the SpongeBob movie that came out in 2004 is one of them. And I've seen that.
Kinda, not really, no.
Okay. But I do know the basic premise is Odysseus is trying to get home.
Yeah, the basic gist of it, yeah. It starts off at the end of the Trojan War, which was what the Iliad, however you say it. Yeah, that's what that's about. Right. With Achilles and all that. And the Odyssey picks up at the very end of the war, which went on for 10 whole years. And how they finally win is Odysseus comes up with the Trojan horse, and that's how they, get behind the city walls and win the war. So everyone else finally returns home after a decade at war, but he takes another decade to get back because he keeps running into all these mythological, magical obstacles. And back home, he's the king of Ithaca. And back home, his wife Penelope's having to fend off all these suitors who want to marry her so they can claim the throne, because they all think that he's dead and he's never coming back.
Yeah.
And his son Telemachus is also there.
Okay.
Honestly, that character in the other adaptations that I've seen doesn't do anything until the very end when Odysseus gets back. So I don't know. They were cutting back to Tom Holland a lot in this movie, showing what he was doing. So I don't know how much of that is from the book and was left out of other versions I've seen. But he has kind of a storyline in the movie where he wants to find out more about this father he never knew, and he goes to see John Bernthal's character, whose name I forget, who fought with his father in Troy. Hold on, I'm gonna look that up. Okay, so John Bernthal plays Menelaus, the king of Sparta and Helen's husband.
I'm like 80% sure that you're pronouncing that incorrectly, but
probably. Well, they pronounce it differently in every version.
Okay, fair.
And in some versions, Odysseus is called Ulysses, because that's how they translated his name into Latin.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, because I've heard Ulysses and Odysseus both used for the kind of like story arc that takes place in the Odyssey. That makes sense.
Yes. So there's a lot going on in this movie.
I would imagine.
Yeah, and it's cutting back and forth in time a lot. Odysseus at the start of the movie is a lot of his scenes take place when he's with Calypso, who's feeding him the lotus flowers, so that he doesn't remember anything and stays with her forever. And there's a thing where, and she's played by Charlize Theron, and she's like, I think you're finally ready to remember. Stop eating the lotus flower. what do you remember? And it's like him slowly regaining his memory, and we cut from that to different points in time, and the cutting back and forth as he's regaining his memory more or less goes in chronological order. And then it's also cutting forward in time to Tom Holland as Telemachus.
So what did you think of the casting?
I really like Matt Damon as Odysseus. He's an actor I generally like.
Yeah.
And kind of a funny side note is that, you know, growing up as a kid, I always thought Matt Damon looked a lot like my dad.
I remember this was a big topic of conversation when we were in college.
And so every time I would see a Matt Damon movie, I would just pretend it was my dad in the movie. And they're close in age too, so that now my dad and Matt Damon they still look alike. He's always like, no, I don't look like Matt Damon.
No, I bet your dad looks like Matt Damon.
Yeah, I'm like, no, you really kind of do. Especially when, you know, him in the movie, then they both have the kind of shaggy gray hair. I'm like, dude, he looks so much like him. But
yeah.
but no, he was good. And Anne Hathaway plays Penelope.
Yeah.
She does a really good job, as does Robert Pattinson as Antinous. It was actually kind of hard to make out some of the dialogue in a lot of scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which is a kind of another annoying Christopher Nolan trope where he kind of buries the dialogue under the music and sound effects. But this wasn't as bad as Tenet, nowhere near as bad as that movie. So Robert Pattinson, he plays like a sleazy suitor.
As you do.
Yeah. Oh, he was fantastic at it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm really glad the last couple of years that it feels like Robert Pattinson is kind of getting his due as an actor. Like more people have been recognizing his talent. He's been getting better roles because I've always liked him.
Yeah, he's very talented.
Yeah, but for the longest time, the only thing people associated him with was Twilight. Like when I remember when he was cast as Batman, I heard so many people say like, "Oh, the sparkly vampire will never be my Batman," and I'm just like, "Come on, watch more movies."
It was 10 years ago. It was about 10 years ago when that movie came out. It's been more than 10 years since, and he has done other work which he's been incredibly successful. Yeah, no, I've always kind of felt bad for the hand that he and Kristen Stewart got dealt because they definitely got a lot from Twilight by way of exposure, but it kind of like caricaturized their career for like a decade afterward.
Yeah, and I feel like Kristen Stewart kind of broke out of that perception a lot sooner than he did.
Yeah. Well, I think that because for what I will say is maybe something being left to be desired in terms of writing and direction for the Twilight movies, Robert Pattinson was playing to his strengths from a character perspective there. So I think for him to go on and do roles that were good for him, it was hard for him to break out of that bubble.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. For the record, I've never seen Twilight.
I have.
The first thing I saw him in was as Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter.
Same.
So that's always been my first impression of him. But I've seen him in many movies where he's very good. And so yeah, I'm just happy for him that he's finally being allowed to kind of break away from that sort of typecasting. Like he was really good in Mickey 17. And I didn't even really care for that movie that much, but he was good in it. And he's excellent in the Odyssey, and him and Anne Hathaway, they have this really good scene together, which is one of the best scenes in the movie, where he's trying to convince her to marry him, and there's this whole thing where she says, I'll choose a new husband when I finish, weaving this memorial blanket. And, she's been secretly undoing the weaving every night. And so he confronts her about it. in just kind of the most menacing way possible. And that's also one of the only times where Christopher Nolan shows restraint in the editing and in the music. There was a lot of editing of this that I just felt was really fast and frantic when it had no reason to be.
Okay.
Like there's scenes that should be calm and quiet, but he's just cutting back and forth every 2 seconds for no reason. And it was a little irritating. But in this scene with the two of them, he has them both in the frame together and he just holds on it for a while. And there's like no music playing and it's just their dialogue. And that actually helped the scene a lot. Because it actually slowed down for that part. And they're framed, the camera's on the other side of the loom with the threads. The threads are kind of in the foreground, kind of out of focus. And it just looks so good. And that was one of the best scenes in the movie.
Nice.
And they both just crush it with the acting. You know, I didn't really like Tom Holland in the movie though.
Okay, that's hot take.
His performance was just not very good.
Okay.
Like he wasn't terrible, but I just feel like all the other actors were just on a whole other caliber of acting from him. He was just kind of outshined by everyone else. And I just kind of wonder. Go ahead.
To be fair, Nathan does not dislike Tom Holland as an actor.
No, I don't dislike him. But he just, I don't know. It seemed like he didn't bring his A game to this one.
Do you think that the part maybe just wasn't well suited to him, or?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think he was also like, kind of like shooting Spider-Man at around the same time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so maybe that could have played a factor. Like maybe he was a little exhausted.
Yeah, maybe. I think that though. I mean, I haven't seen that, just so great result, but like, I do think that sometimes like it can. They did a lot of like new things with this movie. They brought a lot of like with the IMAX filming and everything. Like it was, and very like, I'm trying to find a way to put this. It's like, I think it was new territory for a lot of people, and I could see that being difficult to navigate from an acting perspective, especially because Tom Holland is so much younger than most of the people that he's acted alongside, I think, other than his wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see what you mean. Like maybe he just wasn't really jiving well with the atmosphere. That could be. I don't really know, but yeah, he was probably the weakest one of the main cast.
Hmm.
And so you mentioned Zendaya. Her role was actually really interesting.
Because, I've been hearing a lot about it. I'm interested in what you thought.
Yeah, which there's some minor spoilers in this, but so Matt Damon as Odysseus, he keeps having visions of the goddess Athena appearing to him at different points throughout the movie to kind of confront him about his choices, and she's kind of a manifestation of his guilt. And she's played by Zendaya. But then we see towards the very end of the movie, it goes back to the end of the Trojan War, and we see them when they emerge from the Trojan horse, and we actually see the recollection of that from John Bernthal's character's point of view first, and actually it was really cool how they treated the Trojan horse very realistically. And it's on the beach. It's this huge thing, and it's on the beach, and all the men are crammed inside it, and it's sinking into the sand, and so the guys on the bottom are literally drowning.
Oh.
And And then it's, the Trojans pick it up and they're dragging it across the beach, and all the guys inside are falling over on top of each other. And so it was like very grounded in his depiction of that. But then when they get into the city and they exit it at night, they open the gates, they let the army in. And from this character's point of view, it's this very, triumphant, rousing victory. But then,
yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, but then later on, we see the recollection of that from Odysseus's point of view, and we just see his men just going through, just destroying everything, burning all the buildings down, and just slaughtering everyone, including the civilians, including the women and children. And it's like brutal. And where Zendaya first comes in is she's a civilian, just some random woman that his men kill right in front of him, and she's like looking at him and pleading with him, but then they kill her. And at the same time, there's a statue of the goddess Athena that they behead at the same time that they chop her head off. And we see the head of the statue rolling down the stairs, and it lands in front of him. So the whole time throughout the movie, it's like those things became intertwined in his mind. And so or it could be that, or it could be the actual goddess Athena taking that form just to make him feel more guilty.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I really like that. That was, yeah. And so
doesn't she appear to other people throughout the movie though?
I think it was only to him. I don't think she appeared to anyone else. I think it was just him.
Okay.
Yes,
that is interesting.
Her and Tom Holland don't have any scenes together.
That I knew. Yeah. Do you like her performance as Athena?
Yeah. I see so many people say, "Oh, Zendaya can't act," but
who says that?
So I'm convinced it's people who have not actually seen any of her movies. They've only seen that one meme where it's like she makes the same facial expression and everything, and it's just the 4 screenshots together of her doing the same facial expression. So out of context screenshots in a meme format. I think that's where people get that misconception from.
Yeah, but also that's kind of how acting works. It's the same person playing all of the different roles. I mean, and obviously, you want range and variety between them, but most people look the same when they're making the same kind of facial expression.
Well, yeah, it's just a cherry picked screenshot meme. Yeah. So but no, she actually can act.
Yes, she's quite talented.
There's a reason she's a big movie star.
Yeah.
And some of the best acting I've ever seen her do is when she's in Odysseus's memory, when she's pleading with him not to be killed, and just looking at him, begging him. Like, it's only like a 10-second long scene, but I mean, she was fantastic. She's probably only in the movie for like maybe 5 minutes total. But she's memorable. She's one of the most memorable parts.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, what I'm hearing is lots of love for Zendaya's performance, no love for her husband's performance.
No. And like I said, he wasn't terrible, but he was just being outclassed by everyone else.
Yeah, which I think kind of happens when you are with a bunch of titans in the industry. Anyway, moving on from casting, what else would you like to discuss?
Yes. But yeah, Odysseus's guilt is kind of the main theme of the movie. Like he admits later on, like a lot of his kind of rash decision making that we see throughout his Odyssey was because he says after the war I never wanted to return home.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, that's a running thing throughout, which is an interesting direction to take it. That kind of feels very like a very modern interpretation. I don't know if I kind of doubt that's something from the original text, but I don't know. It could be.
Please, just absolutely blame Nathan in the comments if he's wrong about that.
Oh, they will. They're gonna flame me for liking Zendaya. There were a lot of just really excellent scenes, like the part where Odysseus he goes, he kind of goes. I guess it's supposed to be an entrance to Hades, and he sees all of his fallen soldiers under his command,
Mm-hmm.
and they all kind of rise up. It's really haunting how they do it.
Yeah.
Where it's this field of ashes,
Mm-hmm.
and they all rise up from the ashes, and they all talk to him. Well, first they have to drink goat's blood before they can talk to him.
Maybe I don't want to see this movie.
There were a few parts that you might be a little uncomfortable with. That was one of them. Just the visual of all of them covered in the ones who talk to him. They're all covered in ash, and they have for some reason they all have after they drink the goat's blood, it's like dripping down their face.
Where does it fall on the Nathan rating board?
Oh well, I'll tell you about the pig scene, then you can decide. When they go visit the witch Circe, and yeah, it's and she's a witch who can turn people into animals, and she turns all of Odysseus's men into pigs.
As you do.
Oh yeah, but the way they did it was like horrifying. Like that didn't go how I expected it would. Like the transformation scene, they did it in a different way than I've seen before, where she physically puts her hands on them and molds them like clay into pigs. Like we see her grabbing their jaws and like stretching them out into pig shape, and yeah.
So this is another throwback to when Nathan and I were in college. Part of the reason that Nathan would go see movies and then come back to the dorm and tell me about them is for things such as this, so that he, who has a stronger stomach for things and is less has a higher threshold for what could be considered objectionable content, could see those things in the film and then report them back to me so that I could decide if I wanted to see the film.
Does that make you not want to see the film?
It doesn't make me want to see the film. Okay. But I am still very interested. But like, maybe wait till it comes out on streaming so I can like skip past that scene.
All right. No, it was pretty gross. Yeah. That scene gave me nightmares, and I think that scene alone is probably why it has the R rating. Because other than that, it probably could have been a PG-13. Well,
but it's like too much blood collected in one place, basically.
Yeah, they do. Well, they probably do show too much blood for PG-13. But yeah, I think that scene alone would have made it rated R, blood or no blood.
Cool.
So the way the movie looks, I also really like. I did like that. I think a lot of movies now. I really don't like a lot of modern cinematography. So many movies just look so ugly, and a lot of them have what I call the Netflix look, where it's just all gray, brown, and green, and just desaturated and dark. Like almost everything looks like that now. And
The whole second screen phenomenon.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with them catering to the algorithm.
Yes.
I guess for some reason the algorithm that rules everything wants everything to be ugly, and I guess it works because people click on it, and I think other studios are following suit with that, because it's not just that it's ugly; it's that every movie looks the same.
Right.
They're all ugly in the same way. So the few movies that don't look like that, I appreciate much more. And this didn't look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot of really striking uses of a lot of blues and oranges, but also just some nice, really wide open skies.
Oh.
And the scenes where they're on the ship and they're sailing, those look really good. And there's one shot where it's kind of an over the shoulder shot of Odysseus standing on the ship looking out over the water, and some dolphins jump out of the water into the frame. And apparently, from what they've said, that was a spontaneous thing. Like, there just happened to be dolphins there that day.
That's
And that's what I like about Christopher Nolan, is that he's one of the last directors who doesn't just do everything on a green screen or in the volume. Like, he actually still likes to go out and film in real locations, and stuff like that is what happens when you go out and film in the real world.
His movies have got to be expensive, though.
Oh, they are. This is a very expensive movie.
No, yeah, I definitely like get what you mean, though, because there's a lot of natural beauty in the natural world, and you kind of miss out on that if you don't ever from a cinematic perspective, if you don't ever go out to actually build there.
Yeah, and if he uses CGI, of course, because every movie uses CGI now, but what he does, he uses it more just to complement what's already on screen,
right?
To do that, and to do things like some of the creatures, like the Hydra looking thing that has the big mouth tentacles that come down and grab the men off the boat. Like, I'm sure that was animated.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but then he was also filming in like real old forts and on mountains, right, and in boats and all that. It's not like a Disney Plus show where they just do everything on a sound stage.
What else would you like to discuss about the Odyssey?
Oh man, what else? It's worth seeing on the big screen. Like, yeah, it's worth going to the theater to see it.
Okay.
Because yeah, it has that good sense of scale, and just the fact that they're using so many real locations just makes it even better, even more impressive. And yeah, I enjoyed it. There's some quibbles I still have with Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker, but this, I think Tenet is easily his weakest movie. Like, that was all of his worst tendencies, just cranked up way too far.
Okay.
But after that, with Oppenheimer, he scaled it back, and I think people were afraid that, like, oh, is that going to be like the start of his downfall? Is it just going to be all downhill from here? But no, with Oppenheimer and then with this movie, he recovered nicely.
Nice.
He probably could use some better action choreography. There were a few scenes where I thought that was kind of lacking.
Okay.
But I mean, not that I plan on shooting a large, expensive action movie, but I guess just something if I ever did that, that would be something to keep in mind. Yeah, the things I didn't like about the movie were outweighed by the things that were fantastic about it.
All right. Well, it sounds like it was really good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. The jury is still out if I will see it or not. But this is a review of Nathan's that I would have received in school and been like, oh, I should see this movie, because he really liked it. I like you guys, if you watched our trailer and kind of know like what our whole deal is. Nathan and I are like this, we're like best friends, and like I trust him with a lot of aspects of my life, but one of the things I trust him like implicitly with is movies.
No, yeah, I mean, if the whole movie was like the pig transformation scene, then I would say you might want to skip this one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to recommend you go see Evil Dead Burn, because you would just not like that at all.
Yeah, I'm not just talking about objectionable content though, but because I know that you're such like a fair critic, that when I hear that you really, really like a movie, I'm like, oh, it must be good. Like even if I won't like it, it must be good.
Right. Yeah, and there was, oh man, I mean, there's so much to talk about in this movie that I could this could be another Avengers Endgame thing where I talk for longer than the actual movie, and it's a 3-hour movie. But yeah, just.
In fairness, at that point we had both seen the film, so we both had like things.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could both give our input on that, but yeah, just visually, the writing, most of the acting, it was just fantastic.
I am interested in the writing, like in the storytelling structure. I think it's cool that they pulled in Calypso. That's a part of Odysseus' story that has been retold in so many different ways. I think it's interesting that they used it as like the main framing device for his whole story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, maybe I should just read the screenplay.
If you want, it's probably out there, or it will be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the main source for the movie was they used a particular translation. I think it's the Emily Wilson translation of the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be interesting to read that version, since that's what the movie's based on, and maybe compare it to the script. But yeah, I did see a lot of people saying that some of the dialogue sounded too modern, which I guess it was just different than how they were expecting it to sound.
Yeah, because I heard Tom Holland defended the character choice to call Odysseus dad instead of like father or something.
Yeah,
and
that's one of the main points of contention people have.
And I actually kind of agree with Tom Holland on this, because he does kind of have a point. He wouldn't like have called him father, like in Greek either. Like they have paternal terms of endearment in other languages.
Right, exactly. So, they don't just speak formally all the time. Right.
And so then if you're going to refer to, your family member or friend or somebody that you're close to in a similar manner, then it would make sense to use the terms that we have in English for that.
Yeah.
if you're shooting the movie in English.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of that that kind of just sort of, I guess, modern feeling dialogue, I think it was different than what people expected it to be, because I think some people expected this was going to be like an old Hollywood style epic, which like something from like a Cecil B. DeMille movie or something from like the 40s or 50s, and which I know Christopher Nolan, I know he's inspired by a lot of that stuff, but it's not really that. So like it's not being done in the style of Ben-Hur, where it's like or a lot of those movies where were written with a lot of the dialogue and just the writing in general. They were kind of like kind of epic stage plays, almost like operatic in their approach.
Okay.
And this movie doesn't do that. It's a lot more grounded. It's a lot grittier. It's a lot more real and immediate than something like that.
Which I think is a cool juxtaposition to do with mythology.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think that's why it's written the way it is. And I mean, I thought it worked. I thought aesthetically it all meshed just fine for me.
Nice.
Oh, should I talk about Travis Scott?
Oh, there's more.
Oh, I could go on forever. Yeah, Travis Scott is also in the movie.
Yeah.
As a bard, as a oral storyteller. Mm-hmm. And he really only shows up a couple of times, but that's how the movie opens. Is you see him in the palace at Ithaca, and it's a short scene where he's just kind of reciting the legend of Odysseus, this great warrior who disappeared. And to me that kind of set the tone for the whole rest of the movie, because the rest of the movie is it's a lot of the Tom Holland scenes where people telling him about his father that he never knew, and then in Odysseus' scenes it was about him remembering, him regaining his memory. And a lot of his narration was as if he was recounting it, which I think that kind of goes back to how the original text originated as an oral tradition, as a legend before it was written down. So I thought that was clever.
Yeah, I think
they cast Travis Scott because he's a rapper. So they thought he would be appropriate for that role.
That's cool. I like that. Like pulling in, somebody from the music industry, not just to be a face from the music industry in the movie, but to actually like their skill set, applies to the art form. I think that's really cool, actually.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people were skeptical about. Like, I think people thought he was literally going to be rapping in the movie, but he doesn't. It's not like that. If he did that, I mean, it would have been really out of place, but it would have been hilarious, but not really appropriate for the movie.
Yeah. That's cool. I didn't know that they did that. That's one of the things I haven't actually heard anything about. I didn't even know Travis Scott was in it. So.
But yeah, I like that choice. I thought it worked really well. Oh, and I should say, I didn't see it in IMAX 70 millimeter.
Oh, how do you feel about that? I know a lot of people have like strong opinions about.
Oh well, I know a lot of people think like, oh, that's the only real way to see the movie. But I mean, I should say I'm not really a presentational purist in that way. As long as the projector isn't messed up, which I've had happen before several times at AMC. But no, as long as it doesn't look like anything's blatantly wrong with the image, then I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I have seen other Christopher Nolan movies in the IMAX 70 millimeter format before.
Right.
And I do enjoy that. It's a different kind of vibe, a different experience, but I don't think that's essential to enjoying the movie.
Okay.
Or to get the full experience of the movie. Because I'm not that much of a purist. Like, I find it interesting, but I'm not a purist in that way. Because a lot of what you're seeing when you see the IMAX format, specifically with Christopher Nolan movies, is you're just seeing the full frame of what he shot. So there's more information on the top and bottom of the frame, especially a lot more on the top of the frame. So I think a lot of people say that, oh, that's you have to see the full, the full image to get the full experience, but that's not really true.
Okay.
Because really it's just a lot of dead space. There's most of the time there's nothing that interesting or important on the top and bottom, which is why if you see it in a standard projection, I mean, Nolan frames for that too. So everything in the standard 239 frame is that's all that's you need to see. Like, he keeps the important information in that. He frames for that. And then the extra information is just it's just a bonus. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's cool, but it's not essential in my estimation.
So, any last final thoughts about the Odyssey?
I really liked it.
Nice. I think I would like it.
Yeah, maybe look away during a couple parts, but for the most part, yeah. I rate this 4 out of 5 Trojan horses.
I see.
I'd say, even if you really don't like Christopher Nolan's style, I would say still give this a chance, because even though it is his style, it has a lot of his tropes, a lot of his filmmaking techniques that can rub people the wrong way. I would say still give it a chance, because I think there's so many just really well done scenes in this, and as a whole, I think with all the themes and the writing, it all just really comes together. That even if you don't like a lot of those techniques, I think you might still enjoy this.
Well, there you have it. I'm convinced I'd like to see it.
Yeah. I was going to say this movie makes me want to visit Greece, but I just visited Greece, so can recommend.
He didn't take me with him.
No, I did not.
We still need to talk about that.
I could have smuggled you in a suitcase.
For legal purposes, that was a joke.
I could have smuggled you in a horse. That was the more obvious joke I could have made.
I mean, for legal purposes, also a joke. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and for kind of getting a feel for what our evenings sometimes look like at college when Nathan would go and see a new movie. If you like what we're doing here and you'd like to see more of this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so that you are notified every time we upload and you don't miss any of the super fun and cool content that we have coming up this summer. If you like content like this and you'd like to see more of it, make sure you like, comment, and share the video so that the algorithm can see that you like this sort of content and you can meet content creators like me and Nathan. Otherwise, we will see you guys next time. Bye.